Oh, guys, so Samsung messed up big time, and it's not in the way that you think. What's going on, YouTube? It's the Granite Geek, the Apple fanboy who can be honest. Yes, Samsung, they had their Galaxy Unpacked event today in which they released three phones, the S22, 22 Plus, and the S22 Ultra, which is basically the return of the Galaxy Note, one of my personal favorite Android phones of all time. So we're going to talk about it, and I'm going to reveal the big mistake that they've made and a bigger mistake that is affecting all smartphones right now. So before we get started, hit the subscribe button, click the bell, do all the YouTube stuff as we cover your favorite tech and video games. I'll have more news on the video games soon. I'm Chris Grant Jr., guys. It's the Granite Geek Show. Because I want to get right to the news. It's a big day for Samsung. Like I said, they released three models, and we're going to talk about the S22 first real quickly because they have a lot more features in common. Wireless charging, they've got internal storage up to 256, Snapdragon 8th gen processor, up to 8 gigs of RAM, no S Pen here, 5G phones, of course, ultra wide cameras, of course, they've got rear 50 megapixel wide, 12 megapixel ultra wide, and they've got what, 4 cameras. The cameras are just going insane here. 6.1 and 6.6 inch respectively, Infinity O Full HD plus dynamic AMOLED 2X displays. Tech specs, man. The difference with these two are going to be the battery, which is a 4500 milliamp hour battery for the S22 Plus, as to a 3.7 or a 3700 milliamp hour battery on the 22. Now, getting on to the Note, which is not called the Note, it's called the Galaxy S22 Ultra, but even in the promotional material for this phone, they're saying it's a perfect Note. You know, Note, the word Note is all over this thing, and so people really understand it as the successor to the Note. But I agree with Samsung's decision here for naming sake to keep it just all S22, even though I don't think S22 Note would be too much of a problem. But the beefier boy, the S22 Ultra, is going to come with a 5000 milliamp hour battery, up to a terabyte of storage, which makes it a straight up competitor to the iPhone, which can go up to a tera. Snapdragon 8 processor, all that same, 12 gigs of RAM. This thing only gets up to 16 gigs of RAM. This is with an M1 full, basically laptop processor that's got a 12.9 inch screen. So they're really packing that in. But of course, with Android and its lesser RAM optimizations, typically the more RAM, the better. Apple has been known to do a lot more with a lot less RAM. Now, here's the thing with this. It's got a 6.8 inch Infinity O Quad HD plus dynamic AMOLED 2X display. Yeah, I think I got through that correctly. So now we get into the issues that I have with the release. Starting off with number one, this is a spec bump release, which is fine. I don't mind a tick in the TikTok cycle, but it is a smart camera. And this is reflective of the entire smartphone industry right now, is that it is just a smart camera that happens to make phone calls. It's no longer a phone that just happens to have a camera. There was a time when phones didn't even record video, or even photos for that matter. But that transition has happened now. And with apps and platforms like TikTok turning basically the general populace into creators, in a way where, you know, folks who would never join YouTube and the likes of those kind of platforms are now able to make these quick videos and make money off of it. And so they're going to want better, beefier cameras. And that's what not only Samsung, but Apple has gone in the direction of, and nobody seems to notice. Now, I actually don't have a problem with this. I think it's actually the most natural thing that could happen. If that's where the market is going and the smartphone is the device that can morph into that, I think by all means that should happen. But it's gone by without anybody really noticing it, and I think it's worth mentioning that in all the promotional material for all of these phones now, it's all about the camera. They're adding more and more lenses, and honestly, I hope that people don't get caught up in the lens game. Even Apple, I was surprised, has 3 lenses on their camera. Most people, I would take one amazing lens, then 3, 4, 5 okay lenses, and they're increasing the megapixel count. I mean, 108 megapixel wide angle camera. Yeah, I read that right. 108 megapixel wide, 12 megapixel ultra wide, 10 megapixel tele 3x optical zoom, 10 megapixel tele 10x optical zoom, and then the front facing camera is a whole 40 megapixels, which is more than the back camera on the iPhone. Now, there have been rumors about the iPhone 14 increasing its megapixel count as to be able to shoot 8K video, which these S22 devices are all capable of. But it's certainly on the front end, on the front camera, is not going to be no 40 megapixel camera. So Samsung's definitely got it in that. And then Apple typically does the better image processing, in my opinion. I'm a fanboy though, so I can acknowledge my bias. And once again, it's always the people who don't acknowledge their biases that you need to be aware of. And then the second issue, which is more specific to Samsung, it's all about marketing. The single best feature that I was able to dig up from looking at, and nobody's really talking about this. I mean, some people have mentioned it. The graphics card on this phone has been made in collaboration with AMD, and it is a powerhouse. It's called the X-Clips processor, and it's capable of ray tracing. How about that for marketing? Now, I understand it's a little bit more nerdy and more people, the general populace, want to hear camera. The thing that I feel about this entire release is that it lacked that flagship feature. It lacked that just in advertising. It's not like it didn't come with the features, but there's just no like front page feature like this phone can do this. And you know why I need that? Is because when Apple released the iPhone 13, love it or hate it, their big flagship feature was ProRes, right? Now the iPhone can shoot ProRes, the same quality that they use in movies. They take the best feature from the phone and they market the mess out of it, right? Because that's what people will know the phone for. What will people know this phone for? They will know the S22 Ultra as the return of the Galaxy Note. But when it comes to what it can actually do, I don't think Samsung did a good job of pushing one of these features to the front. I personally think, like I said, it should be the X-Clips graphics processor, which supports ray tracing, which I would guess that all the games on the Galaxy S22 Ultra are going to look so much better than any game on iPhone. At least the ones that are optimized for ray tracing and stuff like that. It's a beefier processor as far as the visuals. So I think that Samsung really slipped up there. Will it cost them? I think they'll do average sales, like nothing crazy, because once again, I don't think it's a revolutionary phone. But I think the extra hype with the return of the Galaxy Note will boost it a little bit. But yeah, that's been my reaction. Do I like the release? It's okay. I won't be going out and buying one. I'm not seeing anything that's incredible. I would like to try out the ray tracing, but I could probably just do that in the store. So let me know what you think of the Galaxy S22 down in the comments below. I'd love to chat it up with you all as always. And I have a new video on the way featuring Jay Lottaquente from the Baseball Banter broadcast. We're going to talk iPad Pro. So stay tuned for that. Hit the subscribe button, click the bell so you don't miss as we cover your favorite tech and video games. I'm Chris Grant Jr. It's the Granny Geek Show.